9 o'clock on January 29th, we'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we'll begin with a review of the minutes from January 22nd. Does anybody have any modifications to the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hewsome, a second by Commissioner Dahlheiden. Any further discussion? With no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. We'll move forward to today's agenda. Is there any modifications or additions to today's agenda?
I have none. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I have a motion by Commissioner Dahlheiden and a second by Commissioner Burrell for the agenda. Any further discussion? None. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Today's agenda is set. We'll begin with the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Burrell for the consent agenda, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion? With no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. We will move to our timed agenda items at 9:02. Mr. Mike McMillan from Court Services Director. Well, good morning.
Oh, well, this is fun, exciting, scary and nervous because it's my great opportunity to recognize one of the staff people from Wright County Court Services and one of our best. Karen Evans will be retiring at the end of the week, actually on Thursday. And I thought it'd be appropriate that I said a few words about Karen and her service to the county, and I know Judge Tenney is here as well, and he'd like to say a few words on behalf of the bench and her contributions to the bench as well and the criminal justice system. I've had the opportunity to work with Karen for 26 years plus. Karen will tell you that she didn't know if that was going to happen or not, because I guess I was really classy my first couple weeks on the job and said I didn't know if I was going to keep part-time staff, and she happened to be one of them. But at the last laugh, I guess she's still here and we're still together. So, I don't remember that story, but she doesn't lie, so it's got to be true. Karen has done so much for not only our department, but I think the county in general. You know, those commissioners and individuals that come to Safe Schools meetings have heard me say repeatedly, you know, when I got here with 68,000 residents in our county, we're 130 plus, and our juvenile probation and our adult numbers really haven't changed a heck of a lot. And, you know, there's a lot of statistics, I suppose, you can run for that, but one of the things that's kind of an untold story is Karen's position as a restorative justice and evidence-based probation agent, and basically what that means is she creates programs, does things that are out front in the criminal justice system to reduce crime, and I think reduce cost to the county and the taxpayers, and make us just a better system. And she's done a litany of things over her tenure. And back to the juvenile side of things, we've actually reduced a juvenile agent since Karen's been on the job, and some of the ancillary things that she does, if it be teen court, victim offender mediation in the communities, working with law enforcement, school districts, cities, and county when individuals commit crimes, working with our diversion community work service, all these things that are ancillary services that the community doesn't necessarily see as supervision. But we know in the criminal justice system have such a major impact on all of our citizens and our those individuals that commit crime. Because, you know, her role in restorative justice is simple. It's restoring those offenders and restoring our community back to a whole. And I can't think of a better person that we put in that role when we created the position. I can't think of a better person who's done such an outstanding job for our county. Internally, she's a true leader to our department. She, in any given market, could be a director, a supervisor. She's not, but she's just done an outstanding job in her role, and she's lifted everybody up. The kindest person you'd want to work with. Someone that I've leaned on as a director outside of my management staff on lots of difficult times that we've all gone through, and I think everybody in the office looks at her the same way. So it's just been a real special employee. As you know, she won Employee of the Year last year, and she's also won numerous awards throughout the state. And she's respected not only here but statewide. So she's been real special to all of us. One of the most special things she's done, she spearheaded along with a number of our staff, the bench out front on suicide awareness. She stepped outside the box and done other things that don't necessarily fit into your job description, but have done so much for all of us in the community and the county. So it's my pleasure to, when Judge Tenney's done, we did put together a certificate, just because I wanted to give you something when we're standing. You didn't want a plaque, so we whipped one up for you. But I would like Judge Tenney to say a few words on the court's behalf as well. Thank you.
Commissioners, I want to thank Karen for all of her work and everything she's done over the past and present judges. Personally, though, I can speak to having to have the privilege of spending every second Monday of the month with Karen after work for teen court, which is something that I think is an amazing program that she's been implementing and doing to help juvenile offenders learn from maybe some bad choices they make and move on from it, and have also other juveniles be involved in our justice system and being part of the solution to solving those problems. Karen has also been a trainer in motivational interviewing, and we went through that for our treatment court here, the Turn, and that has helped me become a better judge in every respect, and I thank you for that. Karen's patient. She's been a resource for the citizens of this county for 26 years now. Restorative justice, she's always someone that you can count on. She's going to be sorely missed, so thank you.
So Karen, if you'd come up. And I also want to introduce Karen's husband, Glenn, right there as well. I forgot to do that when we started. So. There you go.
Well, I am a crier, so I'm going to take a couple deep breaths. All I can say is thank you so much, everybody. It's been, I can't believe the... I can't believe how fast the years went, and what an honor it's been to work with everybody and all the great things that I've been able to do. It's so amazing to be able to take a passion and run with it and feel like you've been able to make a difference. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without the support of everybody here. So thank you very much. I'm very, very honored.
You should get a picture for the paper.
This is a special day.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know if I didn't bring my phone because I left it back.
Somebody's bound to have one.
Got one.
There you got one.
I do it up there, or do you want to do it?
Wherever you want to do it.
Wherever you want is the best. You know where the best picture takes from.
Yeah.
They should, because this should be
Wherever-
the paper. This is a special
Wherever you want,
moment here.
wherever you want in the paper.
Pardon me? You guys want to stand there?
Well,
We can just stand up here in the back.
You guys want to go
But
down there?
well, if you,
you're not up for re-election. You can come in a picture.
I mean, I don't know if they need us. I don't know if they need us in the
Yeah, it'd be
picture.
good for them to come down on the well.
We really don't have to be in the picture with you, right?
Yeah. I'm waiting for.
Okay.
There we go. Anything else fit in there? Kind of like Charlie?
Give him a hug. Cheese. Yay, Karen.
Thank you.
I can probably grant the order.
Yeah. Sorry, you have to stay.
All right.
Yeah, she is a nice person. Yeah, those are people hard to replace. Yeah.
Bush.
I always like to see everybody try to every door until they finally find one that opens.
You gonna make sure the doors work better in the new building?
I still can't believe we can't find a way to fix those things to make them work better. They've done so much tweaking on them, but
Oh, you can't leave.
Not letting her leave till Thursday.
Oh,
thank you, Karen.
thank you.
Mr. Hevola, don't look like Mr. Hevola, but
Not him, no. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. This morning, I've got a couple items on the agenda. The first item is to approve an order scheduling a public hearing on County Ditch 29 for March 5th, 2019 at 10:30 in the morning regarding a partial abandonment that was approved on August 19th, 1986.
Wow.
I don't know if there are any questions on that Greg or Matt want to answer or talk about, give you a little history on that.
Hasn't been bantered about enough. It's about time to take action.
Yeah, so essentially through digging through some of the records, found a petition for partial abandonment that was very ambiguous. It's just a little red line going across the plat map, so we need to kind of verify where the legal description of the ditch is to determine how to move forward with, maintaining the system. So I think that we kind of decided to have a public hearing on it to kind of refresh. Hopefully we could get some landowners to come in, potentially have someone that was there at the time, but I haven't found any landowners that overlapped so far in my digging, but maybe someone will show up and has some more information to kind of help us out. So.
Oh, it's good.
Do we need a motion for that?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
we have a motion by Commissioner Putter, a
I'll second
second by Commissioner Dahlheim. He beat you to it.
If I could, Mr. Chair, if I could just clarify for the motion. My understanding is 2 commissioners are going to be gone that day. Maybe we could just schedule it as a regular ditch committee
There,
instead of committee of the whole.
oh, is it, okay.
We just had to have a public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right, a
ditch
public
committee would work.
hearing.
Yeah. I know Commissioner Dahlheim and Commissioner Burrell are looking so forward to doing this now.
So you don't want,
Mr. Potter off the hook.
It would be,
We're off the hook.
so we don't want to, so we're going to just do a ditch committee of the whole, and we're going to,
I would just do a ditch committee.
instead of setting a resolution, to set a public hearing.
Well, set it as a public hearing at 10:30. I think you're going to do committee of the whole, but since there's going to be 2 commissioners gone, why don't we just do a ditch committee?
Yeah, ditch
Yeah,
committee.
just ditch
Fair
committee,
enough.
instead of committee of the whole.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll amend my motion to make it so it's a ditch committee at 10:30 with public hearing.
Okay, ditch committee with public hearing, okay.
I'll second.
So then we're going to still have 3, we're going to have 3,
Derek and I will
2.
be gone.
Oh, yeah, on the 5th, yeah, because we'll be gone, yep, okay.
Yep.
All right, so we're setting a public hearing, so we'll still need a resolution for that then.
Motion, not a resolution.
A motion, we have a motion by Commissioner Potter for the resolution and to set a public hearing, and second by Commissioner Dahlheim. Any further discussion? None? Commissioner Burrell?
Aye.
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 All right.
Sorry, Commissioner Dahlheim.
You just
really don't want to do that.
You just really confuse everything.
I wish the camera could focus in on you right now.
You just confuse everything and leave it to an attorney to do that.
That's what they get paid for.
I just want to know why Matt didn't draw a better picture back then. 'Cause
Well, let's see here.
different
Matt,
crayons.
yes.
Were you even born back?
All right, so the other item on the agenda is to approve an out-of-state travel request for Bob Hevel, the Auditor Treasurer, to attend the 2019 GIOA Government Investment Officers Association Conference in Las Vegas from March 20th through the 22nd, and also to attend the 2019 GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association Conference in Los Angeles from May 19th to May 22nd.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion we approve those out-of-state travel requests.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burrell, a second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion?
Was this included in the budget?
I believe it was.
That was.
And I believe the other, he has.
All right, just wanted to make sure of that.
And then one of the GFOA is, he's actually being sent to represent MCCC, the Finance and General Government User Group.
Oh, okay.
So Wright County would be reimbursed for that.
Oh, okay.
Any other further discussion on it? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Or Mr.
Motion
Chair,
passes.
in Bob's defense, instead of saying I, we should all said for, because they both are golf locations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving swiftly right along here. It's 9:15. We're 1 minute behind here. Mr. Virgil Hawkins, Highway Engineer.
Morning, Chairman and Board of Commissioners. Today, I have two items for your consideration. The first one is to approve a resolution requesting advance of our state aid funds. And it's been approved, MnDOT's informally approved this, but this is a formal part of it, so we can deliver our 2019 construction program, and a resolution is attached.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution and a request to advance the state aid funds from MnDOT.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Potter, a second by Commissioner Dahlheiden for the advancement of state aid funds. Any further discussion?
I just had a question. Virgil, I mean, because when we took office 6 years ago, 4 of us on the board here anyway, we had advanced a lot of money from the state. Is this the same thing, or is this something different?
This is different from what we used to do in the fact that this is our Highway 19 and 38 project has federal money associated with it, over $4 million. And we're not able to get the federal dollars till next year.
Okay.
So we're just really advancing
for a
state aid
specific
dollars,
project.
and then we'll get reimbursed with the federal dollars next year for that specific project.
Okay. And then just a curiosity, because I know we've been paying down that money that we had previously borrowed. Where are we at on that? Put you on the spot.
That gets paid off immediately the next year of our allotment.
Okay.
Prior.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Burrow, we paid that off a couple of years ago, where we got out of that one. In this particular project up here, County Road 1938, which is Albertville, not Seago, to advance it here is actually keeping it so when 94 is under construction, we can have this one done instead of having everything under construction the same year. That's part of what we'd like to get some of these things done. So anticipating 2020 being a rough year on 94, trying to get some of these other projects so we're not
So there's a route.
Detours everywhere.
There's a route for people to.
And there's all these moving parts. To expand on that, the 19 project was one federal project, and then the 38 was a separate one in 2 separate years. Both had federal money. And to get them done at once, which made sense, we combined them, but in order to do that, we can't get the federal money for the one till next year. So.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Cost savings to us and the taxpayers.
Efficiency.
So we have a motion and a second on this. Is there any other further discussion? It's a resolution. Commissioner Potter?
Aye.
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 All right. Resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
next item is, it's that time of year, we're always thinking spring this time of year. But it's our annual
So optimistic.
resolution for spring load restrictions that won't be that long. We'll be putting those in place. And there's a resolution provided and then a map of the restricted highways.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for weight restrictions on Wright County highways.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Dahlheiden and a second by Commissioner Houston for weight restriction resolution. Any other discussion? Commissioner Dahlheiden?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, before Virgil goes away, good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Virgil, I talked with Greg Pickert this morning on behalf of the veterans and those volunteer drivers. They saying thank you for the highway department for keeping that clean for them with the vans, because that's, you know, it's a good program what we have for the vets, and they just want to make sure they let you know that they appreciate what your department's been doing to keep that area clean and clear for them.
Okay, thank you.
Like
Yeah, I did receive an email too, and I passed that along to our staff that takes
Yeah.
care of that.
Thank you for sharing that, because, I mean, it kind of went beyond the call of duty to get it cleaned out with a sort of an unexpected trip, I sounded like they needed to take on Monday, so it was, they're very appreciative of
We know
coming
that
in.
those vehicles get used, so we keep
Yep.
that area ready to go. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
Tracy Janakula for the Feedlot Program Administrator. A trip to SDSU. Great campus. Very nice place. I heard their egg program there is outstanding.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Tracy Janakula, the Wright County Feedlot Program Administrator. This was pulled from, well, I had originally put it on consent, but it's to request to be allowed to travel out of state as part of the conference. Each year, the Minnesota Association of County Feedlot Officers does a conference. It counts as about 20 points of our credits for training that we're required to do each year. And so it's a big deal. And the Wednesday of the conference is a trip to South Dakota State University to their research facility. We're going to be discussing and touring the swine barns. They have a dairy production site. They make ice cream. I've been there. It's very good. And cow-calf beef operation. And so then there'll be discussion and a learning opportunity for that. As part of the conference, there's a bus that goes from our meeting in Marshall to South Dakota. And so it's all included in the cost. The conference cost is $175. If I don't go to South Dakota, it's $175. There's no change in price.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to authorize the out-of-state travel for Tracy Janakula.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Burrell, a second by Commissioner Dahlheiden. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
No, go ahead.
The senior, so respect
Okay,
my
Commissioner
elders on this
Dahlheiden.
one.
Oh, I just want to say that, should it be out of state or should it be out of country?
Well, that's, you know.
I'm going to South Dakota. And
in all fairness, we live in East Dakota here. Tom referred to Minnesota. Mr. Chair, my comments would be for Tracy. This looks like there's a lot of really good information, a lot of good breakout sessions on different things going on here that will help you do your job better. I mean, just reading through the agenda, what you're going to do, I mean, it's quite intense what you're going to, it's not a vacation. You're not going to bring your golf clubs, right?
The conference is definitely training, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
All right. All in favor, say, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Discussion, we almost forgot. Okay, items for consideration. Committee of the Whole, January 22nd, Commissioner Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee of the Whole met on January 22nd, 2019. All the commissioners were present, also other members, Administrator Kelly, Brian Esselson, Sean Johnson, and Sue Virginia were there. The topic was the administrator position and meeting structure and advisory board assignments. We've been bantering back and forth for a few months on how to set this transition from a coordinator to administrator up, and how to utilize a workshop, because I think that's one thing that we all agree that would be good in some cases to have a workshop when needed. It's working for other counties. I think we should try it. The consensus will hold a workshop on the third Tuesday of each month, starting in February, 10 o'clock, so gives a little more time to get other things going before the day goes. And a discussion in the Health and Human Service Board, how to proceed with that. Mention that I'd like to see Assistant Coordinator Virginia sit in some of the board meetings to free up time for Administrator Kelly, because he's a lot on his plate right now, and it's nice to have. He's got that couple hours where he can go and do that. So, you know, and question about should the HHS board meetings be streamed? The consensus was yes, it's a good idea. We've already got it here for other things. I think the public that wants to see it would be really interested in seeing that. And there's discussion on the assistant administrator position, how we go with this, you know, because technically if we don't have a coordinator, how can you have an assistant coordinator? If you don't have a coordinator, you eliminate the position. So that has to be discussed, and they'll go through the procedures to make that go forward. The other thing was the advisory committees and appointments. You know, for the here and now, is it kind of keep everything remain in place, and we'll change as needed as it goes by the streamlining of process. The staff will ensure the county has bylaws and joint powers agreement with all organizations. These are part of things that we've been working through a lot of times, because some of our agreements are kind of all over the board, trying to bring them all home so we know where they're at. in the discussion in order to be identified committee meetings, advisory boards, appointments, scheduled committees needed for the betterment of the citizens of Wright County. So basically, this will be online anyway. The recommendation is approve Sue Virgin as assistant administrator, approve organizational structure and have a job description revised and appointed, establish the third Tuesday of each month as a workshop day beginning in February, with workshops starting at 10. HHS board will continue to meet as they have, but will be required to start streaming their meetings, and that shouldn't be too difficult to do. Planning and zoning meetings will also be required to stream their meetings, since those are a lot of hot topics here and a sellout crowd a lot of times with that one. Update advisory committee listings to include safe harbor, turn steering committees, mayor's association, township officer, quarterly meetings, leadership quarterly meetings. Verify bylaws for CM Emergency Services Board as a third alternate in case a couple of us can't make. That would make Commissioner Vetch the third alternative if this is not allowed. We bring back to the county board for further discussion. And Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations from the committee of the whole of January 22nd.
I'll second it.
All right. Mr. Chair, just a point of clarification. We did find out that they do only allow one alternate on the Emergency Services Board, so we will need to.
There we go. Let's see, one of the answers already have it.
But that's actually on the agenda, I believe, for this week, so
Is
I
it?
will speak to that to see if we can get that changed, because there's other counties apparently are in the same boat as we are. And I think it's a good thing to, when we have more than, if Chris King can't make it, somebody else come in and kind of just see what we're doing, because I give an update and sometimes it's hard to understand, but if you were at the meeting, then it might help out a little bit. So I'm hoping they approve the change on Thursday.
So,
Wednesday. Tomorrow. Yeah. That would be tomorrow.
so you are proposing that
Yeah.
as a change?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to St. Cloud in the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The car might stay running.
And it might be gone when you come back out, too.
You're assuming it's going to start tomorrow.
Oh, it's in the heated garage. It'll start.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Potter, a second by Commissioner Dowlight. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion, or minutes and recommendations passed 5-0. All right. Owners Committee, Mr. Burrell, or Commissioner Burrell, I think you kind of talked a little bit about it last week, but if you want to kind of
I
skim
would say
through it
maybe
again.
next time I mentioned that, I said we probably should wait because the minutes will be coming and they are here now. But yeah, the main thing, one of them anyway, there was mostly informational, but we did make one vote. So the security locks that were originally on the proposal were from Brinks, and the ones that are used at the law enforcement center now are Southern Folger, and they wanted to make them so they'd be compatible. So there was a change order to go with the Southern Folger, and the cost for the total change is about $20,000. So other than that, it was informational. They were a little bit behind. They're hoping to catch up as soon as they get some warmer weather, which they didn't get this week apparently. So, but they still feel that they're going to be able to keep on the schedule. And then one of the things too, we had a contingency budget of a little over $2 million. To date, we've used $225,000, almost $226,000 of it. So extrapolating it out from the time right now, it looks like we could have about $1.3 million, $1.4 million left over in that contingency budget. So the bottom line is things are going real well. We have not had a lot of costly change orders and stuff. So the recommendation though is to approve the hardware change to Southern Folger and the changes in the detention hardware and locks. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for those recommendations and approval of the minutes.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burrell, a second by Commissioner Dowlight. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the public out there, Southern Folger, it's the lock system. We currently have that one in the jail. And since when it was bid out, it had a couple different brands in there. And Captain O'Malley from the jail came there and talked about this. And we've been going to uniformity so we don't have 15 different sets of keys, so they all kind of match. It makes sense to do it this way. And, like I say, it was a kind of nice speech by Captain O'Malley to kind of fill us in on the how and why, so us that don't really understand what they're dealing with, to make the uniformity there.
I told him I thought we should leave it mixed up so we could have the jailer. Remember in the old westerns, they had about 80 keys on the chain?
I know. We had those in the old jail, too.
Right.
They were heavy.
And it makes sense to, because we've done that with our lighting, exterior lighting and different things, make sure that's uniform across there, so it's not just building to
So we
building,
don't have to,
different.
yeah, for the lights, you don't have to stock 5 different kinds of bulbs and whatever, so. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The minutes and recommendations from the Owners Committee are approved. Personnel Committee from January 23rd. Commissioner Hewsom.
Thank you. The Personnel Employees Relations Committee met on January 23rd. Members present, Eliden Hewsom, Sean Johnson, Michelle Miller, Kim Johnson, Lori Pollock, and Lee Kelly. And the point was for the interim position replacement, Youth Services Supervisor. Michelle Miller distributed the committee members a memo explaining that one of their supervisors is going to be on an extended military leave, and this position attends a number of the community and school-related events on behalf of the county and oversees 15 employees. Since they had discussions with the labor attorney and Human Resources Director Sean Johnson regarding kind of the complexity of this and posting a supervisory position that would be temporary in nature and what it might entail for internal and external candidates. There's a list of things that they need to consider when hiring temporary employees. So anyway, we kind of went back and forth about, the best way to handle it and entailing all the legalities involved. And the recommendation was to approve an interim position replacement Youth Services Supervisor and to figure out exactly how that is handled. But that,
So is it a 67-day one, temporary?
No.
Or is it
No, it would be more essentially from April until, they don't know
They
exactly.
don't know, so it's kind of an
Yeah.
open-ended temporary position?
It's open-ended at least until probably January of next year.
Now I can see why you're saying it's a little bit kind of more of a outside-the-box situation.
Exactly. It starts on April 7th of this year and goes at least until January 31st of 2020. So it's more than 67 days.
Yeah, and the other issue is that it's hard. We're not sure we're going to be able to find somebody to fill this position on this temporary type basis, so it may come back. Hopefully we'll be able to find somebody that's semi-retired or retired from a different county and willing to work with us
We had
this short time.
Right, discussion of some potential people that may have been in a similar position and they're retired but may be willing to come and work for us on a temporary basis.
Karen Evans.
Yeah, and the issue with dealing with, promoting a union person and having the person go back, it's an unusual situation.
It is, right.
Time will tell on what's going to happen.
All right. Well, I appreciate you bringing that information forward. Do we have a motion on that? You had a motion to approve your minutes, yeah.
Thought I did.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Dahlin. Any further discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Personnel Committee minutes and recommendations from January 23rd are approved. Now we have the IT minutes from January 23rd, which are quite lengthy.
Yeah, and I'll read them verbatim. No, I won't. The Technology Committee met on the 29th at 11 a.m. And there was a number of people present. Office 365 status update was one of the things that was discussed. And everything is going well. Looking at coming up with a new mobile security tool with multi-factor authentication, and that will be beginning in February. And this will also allow us to wipe a phone if it gets put in the wrong hands or a laptop or something. ERP was discussed. They've narrowed it down to 3 companies, and show and tell, I guess is the best way to put it, will be in February. There was discussion on whether or not it should be kind of put on hold. But it was decided that we need to move forward with the vendor demonstrations to figure out exactly what the final cost will be. And at that point, then we'll come back to the board for further discussions. So we'll have a better idea. And if we decide to hold off, there are other things that have been put on hold that are in dire need. So going with vendor demonstrations to find out our exact cost, and then again what impacts for IT, because we're losing our department head there. We have a number of unfilled vacancies, so it's a concern to make sure that we have the people in place to be able to do it. So we'll have to figure that one out. Another item was event scheduler project. This has been brought forward, and the decision for this was just to make it as a strategic enterprise project, and it will be held for 6 months to try and figure out, again, based on our current staffing issues, whether or not we'll be able to move forward with that. Website redesign. This is within the Administration Technology Committee. Administration will evaluate and prioritize the website redesign project in relation to text messaging project. This evaluation and prioritization will be brought back to the Technology Committee to decide final project placement for said projects. One of the issues is that our current website does not meet some of the ADA. And there have been some counties that have been sued, so we want to make sure that we're where we need to be for this. And the IT project portfolio update was tabled till the next meeting because of time constraint. So I'll make a motion to approve these minutes and recommendations.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dahlheiden and a second by Commissioner Hewsome. We had some good discussion at our IT meeting. You know, I just wanted, and I'm glad the staff chimed in. The conversation was I wanted to make sure that if staff felt confident at least going through the vendor demonstrations, and they agreed that they thought that that's the best to go through that point and decide if we need to hold off for a few months till a new IT director would be in position or not. We'll reevaluate that after the vendor demonstrations. So I appreciate staff kind of having at least some good dialogue with everybody in the room. So
it sounds like the logical next step, you know, is to.
Well, we need to know exactly what impact it will have.
Yes.
And since we don't know exactly, because we don't know what each vendor has as far as our priorities go and what those costs are. Mm-hmm. And I believe number one was financial was what the thought was that was the most critical to the county. So we'll get a better idea actually what that true cost will be to the county and impact to the IT department too.
And I'm interested to find out if Mr. Administrator Kelly will pick text messaging or website as which is priority going to be.
It's been quite a bit of discussion.
As the interim director?
He's the interim director. So there's a lot of projects, and we're stacking them. So they're trying to decide. We made a recommendation and decide these minutes for the admin IT committee to make a recommendation whether they should prioritize the redevelopment of the county website or the archiving of text messaging. Which one is a priority from admin's perspective, and make a recommendation to the IT committee. So Mr. Kelly, trying to wear 7 hats, was working in the ERP at that time, so he was unable to meet that meeting. But Virgin Sue did a very great job, and she's going to have to make the hard decision on that one. With that, any other further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mr. Kelly, property located at 3785 Highway 25?
Correct. As you know, we had a closed session earlier in the month regarding that property and an offer the county had for purchase. The results of that meeting were shared with the property owner, who in turn came back with a counter. So in order to discuss, the board would have to again enter into closed session to discuss. So that would be the next action item on this property.
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session for this. Do we have to?
We could do it
Do
today,
we have to
can't
post it? Can we do it today?
Can't we adjourn this session and open up a closed session part of this meeting?
Yeah, you better go up to the mic.
I like to.
That way you can be on the camera too.
I like to speak from afar. Mr. Chair, you can.
Recess and close.
No, it's not on the agenda, so, but it is something that you've been dealing with, so I don't really see a problem with you.
But it is on the agenda.
On the agenda.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, you can close a portion of the meeting is what I was getting to, so.
Can we close part of it, or can we finish and then go into closed session, or do we have to?
You know, I guess the better practice is to go into closed session and then come back out and adjourn the meeting. It'll be just a little 1 minute or 30-second open portion again.
From my city experience, that's what it always was. You end up going in the back, coming back out, and
It'll only take a little bit anyway, so. They'll just have on the thing, board is in recess for closed session or whatever, and come back out and adjourn.
Well, we could certainly do that. As Mr. Osselson said, any action we would decide to take would have to be an open forum.
well, otherwise we're going to be delaying it out. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to be. I don't think we have any committees to hold the rest of this week, so we're going to be into.
And I
It'll be
think,
next week.
It'd be next week, and myself gone Monday, Tuesday, and Christina for a couple days. We're going to be. We'll be into late next week.
Actually, I won't,
We need a
I won't be,
motion.
that'll be
Yeah.
the next month.
Next one. For February. Oh, you're not. You're going to be here next fifth on the 5th.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gone I'm gone
Need a
February.
motion
5th.
to go into closed
Mr.
session.
Chair,
You're gonna
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we go into closed session right now to discuss this and then come back out.
Okay, so we have a motion.
second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burrell, a second by Commissioner Dolan. Any further discussion? All right, with no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So, Mr. Kelly, would we want to just do that right now, come back and then do the minutes for the, or not minutes, the
Advisory.
advisory
just be
committee?
advisory updates.
We can do that.
And of course, if we would take any action in the closed session, we would have to notate that if it's decisive, so.
Right.
But otherwise, I would say we move into closed session at 9:42.
All right. So we have a motion to go, do we have to make a motion to move into closed
Already got a
session?
We just
motion.
did.
That was, okay.
You've already met the statutory requirements.
I do.
Can't turn that thing off.
All right.
All right.
So I will
We'll be back from our closed session. It is 9:58. We'll begin with the advisory committee discussions from this past week. Do you want to start off, Commissioner Dolan?
Yeah, I wanted to bring to everybody's attention some information that was included on the consent agenda from the Wright County Parks and Recreation. It was a vision, mission, goals, strategies, and then the very end of it was a proposal for decision-making principles. I just want to bring that to your attention on actually what we do to make up decisions on that. So I just think it's a really good setup that the Parks Commission, or actually Mark, the department head out there, came up with that I thought was a good thing. Let's see. The ERP meeting, again, they've narrowed it down to 3 companies to have show and tell with. It was a tight race the way it sounded, and they couldn't get it down to the 2 that they had planned. So it's down to 3. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else.
Mr. Potter?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple. Last week was a pretty slow week on advisory committees in that. We talked last night. I was at a Albertville Centennial meeting, that kickoff meeting. 2019, Albertville is 100 years old officially. So there's a celebration being planned in honor of that. And keep in mind, in history, 1919 was a pretty traumatic, turbulent year.
Yes, into World War II.
You got done with the World War I. Treaty of Versailles was not ratified. The League of Nations was having its problem. Prohibition was discussed and enacted as of January 1st, 2020. A lot of things going on at the. So it'll be a fun time. We've got the series of activities that, a lot of history for people to see. We're looking for information from people that have been around the town way back, remember what it used to look like, if they got pictures, anything else. We're going to have little sandwich boards with little, like the proclamation from the state making Albertville, and some of the things we got some from the military people that were in World War I, as much as we can. Mr. Pickard informed me that there was the Army had a fire quite a while back, and a lot of records
in Kansas
were
in the city
destroyed. So that was a little tough. So we're going to work through a bunch of those things. So it's going to be a one-day thing in September, I want to say 21st.
So then, in 1919, that was when it got renamed from St. Michael's Station, the city of Albertville?
It was officially recognized by the state.
Oh, okay.
It was called Albertville prior to that, but it was not officially recognized by the state until 1919. So there's little, because it started out as Hamburg was a territory. It's the watering hole between Fort Snelling and Fort St. Cloud. It was the halfway point, it was a watering hole. When the territory went away, became a state, that was already dying off because there was a big plan for a town, it just never happened. And then when it became a state, then when the railroad came through, it was called St. Michael's Station because St. Michael was the town nearby. And at that point in time, then all the political skullduggery that goes on through those things, it eventually became its own town. It's quite a unique history on that one there. The other thing is Commissioner Hewsom and I went last week to drug court. They had a graduation of 2 people, and it was I think it's a fantastic program helping some people make better choices in their life and turn them around. The thing that I saw most intriguing is a couple of the people in the drug court were closer to Commissioner Vetch's age, that were having their struggles all the way through life. And to me, having somebody closer to the age group of the teenagers, juveniles, actually has more lifestyle choices in that they'll listen to them more than somebody my age. And they were quite a good group. They supported each other, and I would just applaud it. It seems like it's really good program for for us to keep going on, and I applaud the ones that graduated and went through all their things. It was good to see. I've been to a couple of these now, and it's good to see people knowing that somebody there is helping them out to help make better choices in their life. But that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I would just piggyback on that and say that to hear their stories and, you know, their successes in this program is very rewarding. To have that intense supervision for that time, and with the support that they get, it's, you know, to hear that they've gone 400 days or 200 and some days of sobriety, it's great.
Commissioner Burrell?
I just wanted to dovetail on the Albertville with the 100th birthday. Waverly is having their 150th birthday this year, so they're planning a celebration and big to-do down there as well. So I'm going to have to start putting the dates out like I do the fair.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're all aware Thursday is the LEC planning thing.
At
8:30?
With soil and water.
With soil and water, correct. Unfortunately, I will not be able to make it because I'm going to be moving my daughter out to Salt Lake City. So, but anyway, and then tomorrow I will make it to the Emergency Services Board, though, and we'll bring up the thing about the adding extra members on. So that's all I had, Mr. Chair.
All right. Well, yesterday, Chairman Vetch and I were at the AIS Advisory Committee, and we met with members from the DNR via phone and also Soil and Water. We have a citizen representative that meets with us also, and Lieutenant Mike Martin from the DNR, and also Susan Bishop from Anchor Dock and Lift, one of the providers. So we had a good discussion about, you know, what this is going to look like going forward, and discussing what the enforcement would look like, the cost, and how to really be the most effective and efficient. They believe that whatever number the sheriff's office comes up with, that they're going to be able to cover that amount of money. I guess you could throw in some other things if you have, but we talked about things like an exemption for service providers that have 100 boats or 20 boats or whatever. If they've been shrink wrapped over 21 days, that do they need to be inspected before they put them on the lake? Because it's not like they're putting them on the lakes 20 at a time, you know, it's like 1 or 2 or whatever. So anyway, that was part of the discussion, whether that is a good practice, if that's something the DNR would accept.
We've had we had a lot of really good discussions. We brought some really good ideas. We are running into some hiccups with the DNR on our good ideas. Yep. The DNR tends to like to say no on. They find reasons for why they say we can't do it.
We can enforce their state law, but they can't enforce our ordinance.
Well, they seem to think they can.
But I thought that they said they couldn't.
Well, they can't enforce our ordinance, but they seem to tell us how what our ordinance can and can't do. That's
exactly right. So, yeah. So it doesn't work equitably both ways.
No.
No.
Are there fines based on the state law?
Are there fines?
No, we set the fines on the right on the for the ordinance.
Well, we did on our ordinance, but there's a state law stating that that people have to have their boats cleaned.
Yeah, I
was just wondering if there's a fine associated with that.
I don't know what that is, but
If there is
it's a
or not.
violation. Yeah.
Well,
I know it's a violation, but is there any bite at it?
Yeah, they would issue citations.
Yeah, but what's the fine?
I don't know.
That's a question that you should find out too.
Yeah, my guess is $75, but I don't know.
Well, we had a lot of discussions about ballast tanks, and we just had a lot of discussions about how a lot of these new boats out there, and having an off-site inspection has a lot of limitations to it than when it's at the ramp. When it's at the ramp and the lake is known to be infested, you as an inspector have, I'm going to use the word, more rights to inspect the boat than if it is off-site. If it's off-site, you have to have, I guess to use the word, knowledge or know that there is potential chance for there to be something inside these ballast tanks. So your ability to inspect them gets a little bit more complicated, and especially because to inspect some of these ballast tanks, it's very invasive. And an individual that did a thesis on this said that those ballast tanks hold substantial amounts of water. Even after they go to the drain all the way to the bottom, they're holding liters of water in them still, even after the pump stops running.
And they can't really get in and effectively inspect them. They can't see to inspect
closed,
them.
yeah.
But they have to, if there was any AIS in these ballast tanks, it would be killed by the hot water. But then to flush it all out, I mean, it's just a little...
There's a liabilities.
Right, it's more complicated. And you certainly don't want to be scratching people's boats and equipment and things when you're getting in with this equipment. So it's not just simple.
But
So-
neither is AIS.
And the biggest discussion that's going to be ensuing on February 12th is we're going to have to decide as a board what the enforcement is going to look like and what we want to charge for the county to do this service. Because it's pretty, there's the perspective of treating it more of like an hourly contract, and then there's the perspective of treating it more of we just want you to do these type of sting operations so many times a year, and so we don't want to actually contract hours. So and basically from the law enforcement perspective is they're looking from a direction from the board which way they would rather, whether we have an opinion on which way we'd allow the sheriff's department to contract with that. And then they're also from the Wright Regional Inspection Station is trying to find a way that they can get the most bang for the buck for their money.
Right.
And then we also need to find a way still to get recreational user buy-in. I mean, I think we have some potential options out there. We had some discussion at the end, but we don't necessarily know that the DNR is in favor of our last option, which would be of allowing super users, lake service providers, recreational fishermen, to do a certification course and pay a fee, take this course, and be able to be licensed to self-inspect themselves. So that way they would be exempt from the program. That would be one way for us to get our fishing league people and our lake service providers to have some more buy-in on the program, because it wouldn't be, I guess, so egregiously time challenging to them.
Yeah, but I heard that there was one service provider that was going into one of our county parks, Schroeder Park, and I think it was a pontoon boat that was loaded with zebra mussels.
That was,
So
Well, that wasn't actually in 17, wasn't it?
I don't know, but that just concerns me that.
Right. You need to be inspected.
But even
if it's a service provider, we're going to give them, obviously they don't care.
But you still don't lose that. I mean, even if you have your people have them bring their stuff to that station and inspect it, it's not 100% foolproof.
No, but I mean, still, they were at Schroeder Park,
right,
ready to put it in, and then the site inspector said, no.
And I know, and they should know better, because they're the ones that
you would hope so. Now, and the other thing that we have to figure out too is if we want to expand to the different additional lakes. That was the other thing.
And that's what we're waiting to hear back from. There is one other lake that's definitely.
Maple Lake was just brought up at the last meeting.
Yeah, I've seen that. We got a letter from them.
They're definitely interested. So, but they have until February 11th. The other lakes that had expressed interest have till the 11th to say if they're coming in or not.
So We have
We still have to make that decision on whether or not we want
Yeah,
yeah.
to expand
it's
it.
a board decision.
Yep. So we have, I mean, there's going to be a lot of decisions that are going to be made on the 12th, and there's going to be a lot of discussion. I mean,
I hope DNR will have their firm opinions by that time.
Oh, what the opposition are.
so,
They've been throwing landmines.
well,
in the
everybody
whole
stay tuned on
process
that. Do
all
you have
the way
anything else to
through.
add?
Nope.
That was the biggest chunk of what I had last week was working with that stuff, other than I have some ditch items that I've been working with that'll be coming forward to the board here at some point on ditch 33. But
Ditch 33 is that the one?
City of Monticello. Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, I would like it with this AIS inspection that you would actually have an email or reach out to Sarah Stroman, who's the new DNR commissioner. Let her know what's going on, because sometimes the underlings don't let, you know, the department head or the director.
That's a good point.
They don't know what's going on.
She's brand new.
Because they got rid of, Mr. Walls was frustrated with Landwehr for some of the things going on, so that's why he isn't there anymore. And just to make sure that the head of the DNR knows what's going on out here, and then hopefully she takes the initiative to either come or be engaged in what's going on, so she knows that I don't have underlings doing something contrary to the DNR's mission, you know, because their mission is to protect our lakes.
Yeah, and that was brought up not at yesterday's meeting, but the last that we had the new commissioner, and so I just can't remember exactly what was, if they were going to talk to her.
I mean, they were at one meeting where she was speaking at, she made some just kind of real generalized statements, but I don't know how completely close she is with what we're doing here in terms of
And
knowledge
she
of
should
it.
be, because we're
Right.
the only one in the state doing it.
Exactly.
So she should be more intimately
We're helping
involved.
them do a better job. They should be liking this.
Yes and no.
And,
Yeah, oh yeah.
you know, and still, we talked to the DNR, as of right now, no other counties, Otter Tail County has been kicking the tires, but they haven't put an application in to start a program like this, so going into year 2.1, I'm gonna call it, because the first year didn't really count. No other counties that have jumped on board yet, so.
Yep.
I'm sure they're watching us
Yep.
and letting us do all the troubleshooting.
I'm sure. So, and with that, any other further things for today's business? We will be meeting at 10:30 for a meeting with closed session for Springstead for compensation and classification. We'll adjourn this meeting at 10:17.